Bonjour. Test one, two. I'll try your microphone, make sure it works.
Ready? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not used to this. So, does it work?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I'll start by trying to explain what the project in Rwanda was. Oh, first of all, let me see how great it is to be among Christian friends. Rwanda is a place I never expected to go in my life. Carmen had traveled to Central Africa before we met, but for me as a musician, I didn't see that one coming. 2016 and 17, when I was still working at the college, we got an exchange happening with the first music school from the government in Rwanda, and that's how it all started. I'll spare you details, but fell in love with the place there and the people that are there. But after I retired 4 years ago, I never thought we'd go back. But we end up somehow getting a Canada Arts Council grant. And, oh, yes, Rick, when you're ready, you can put the first slide. Thank you, buddy. And to that grant, we did a project between Canada and Rwanda and Australia as well. Okay, here we go. So the project was called Introducing the Pipe Organ in Rwanda. I had the classical formation in pipe organ when I was younger. Then my career led me to other things, but that's the only thing I know how to do is music. Rick can testify that. Don't give me a screwdriver or anything like that. Something dangerous is gonna happen, right? But it's kind of like a blessing not to have these kind of skills, if you ask me. But same with cooking. So anyway, this was a wild idea. That's what the grant, they wanted a project that was actually very risky in technology and something innovative. And I've had a passion about pipe organ since I was very young. And these instruments, they have 2,000 years of history. They're not transportable, they're big, they're humongous. Pipe organ can have somewhat like 40 feet high and 100 somewhat feet wide, and I don't know how deep. Like when we're talking 10,000 pipes, it's humongous. It will not fit here at all. So since you can't carry them and bring them over, I thought, well, wouldn't that be cool to produce the technology that we could bring it for the first time to a country, Rwanda in this case, where there are none. And they're instruments for the rich people. Let's face it, not anyone can just go up and play a $4 million pipe organ. Even some people with masters, sometimes they can't even get to them. That's what I liked, because the community of the pipe organists, this story is going to be published throughout North America for the organ associations. And I'm hoping it's going to stir their hearts a bit. It's like, okay, yes, this instrument, most people don't think about it anymore. It's being forgotten. And look what we can do. We can bring it to a place where people are poor, where there are no instruments, where they've never seen one, and they never heard one. So 2 years ago, through the internet, again, I think God guides this whole thing, right? So I met this guy in Perth, Australia. His name is Matt Brace, 47 years old. He's a great musician, but he's also a mad scientist. He sort of invented this technology that's called telemetry. So we've been friends for 2 years. I thought he gave up on me because me and the internet, we don't get along very good. And it was the first time I got to meet him in person was in Rwanda. He invented this technology called telemetry. So what we did is we had 2 pipe organs in Canada, one big one in Vancouver and one in Calgary at Knox United. So the one in Vancouver is about 3,700 pipes. The one in Calgary over 5,000. You add them, we'll go almost 10,000 pipes. And the idea was that we'd get, for the first time, somebody from Rwanda playing to an electronic keyboard would activate the pipe organs in Canada while the choir is singing in Rwanda. Wow. the chances of that to happen were very low. And I'll tell you more about some of the problems we had. But the idea was fun, and I got to work with people I love. And to start with my wife. I would never go there without her. And to live this experience together, there's no words to, we'll try to tell you as much as we can today, but there's just no words for it until you go there and be among those people. The faith there. So today, first, we'll talk a little bit about the project. Number two, about their faith. You're going to love that. And number three, I'd really like to talk a little bit about unity within the church worldwide. And so, well, let's go right away to, the video's not done yet. This is just really rough, but put it that way, when the choir sang their national anthem and the piano teacher played the keyboard and played in Canada those two big pipe organs, we were crying. So that's how it started. That's not the video I want, Rick. How do I stop that? Okay, I got it. We're there. There's no words to explain what we felt when this actually happened. There's 177 kids in the school. They're all between 18 and 25. Now, let my wife describe some pictures, and then we'll try to get through this. So, these group of people here.
So, so this group that you see here, they represent an association of students that was created in 1996. That was 2 years after the genocide. The association was created by 12 university students, University of Kigali. And the association's role is to support the survivors of genocide. So if you can imagine those who have survived and were still kind of in school 2 years later, they were maybe early 20s or something like that. So anyway, since 1996, this organization has grown. And now they travel. They have kind of satellite groups throughout the country, and they do visits to the 41 universities that now have kind of developed in Rwanda. Also, the colleges and all the high schools. So they all get a visit once in a while from members of this association. And it's basically to do some counseling and also training some of the students who are interested in peer counseling. So they get trained to do peer counseling. And then they have, over the years, they've added other, and with funds that came their way, they developed youth entrepreneurship programs and even a farming program and that kind of thing. So they're very much present in Rwanda, and just thinking, and there's going to be more photos that I will be able to describe some examples of results of the genocides. But in this visit, that was my third time in Rwanda, and I've met more people who have had an experience of the genocide. As survivors, evidently, but they have either recovered from injuries or they've witnessed things. So
the next little clip, I won't play the whole thing, but the first night we got there, you know, Carmen and I, we traveled with my friend, my newfound friend from Australia, Matt Bray. First time I met him in person there. And my good friend from Ottawa was a CBC producer that I've met in the 80s. Had a great team. Him and his wife were there. And I'll just show you the first night we got there, what kind of welcome they put together for us. You know, they dance in a funny way. There's a cow in Rwanda that has super long horns, and that's what they mean when they dance like this. That's what they do. And so they got us going. Good thing I was filming; they couldn't catch me.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go with a few slides here.
Yeah. Well, I guess we've seen this in many developing countries, but that's how they kind of collect water on the campus. And all the kids, the 170 some students who live on campus, they all do actually. So they are responsible for their own laundry. They have a cook and all of that, but they do their own dishes and things like that. So, and that's I guess we just see from the outside, like the facilities that they use for, you know, showering or their residence. I know the residence where they sleep, it's all like bunk beds, like 3 layers, really tight quarters, and they all live in peace. Yeah, that's where they do their dishes and laundry, like in those sinks.
They wash their shoes every day. They get up so early. And okay, so this is one story related to the genocide, I guess. This fellow, we called him Bruce because it was easier for us to pronounce that name. And so he was our taxi driver locally, like for to go from the hotel to the school or wherever we wanted to go in Muhanga. So his story is that during the genocide, his mother, who had two young boys, 2 babies, with her, I guess fleeing people, attackers. She went into a river and she was trying to dive into the water to protect herself, and but in the process of doing so, she survived, but her 2 babies drowned, and of course that was not her intention. She really suffered from that, and it changed her life. However, she was able to rebuild her life, and a few years later she had this baby Bruce, and his Rwandan name is actually, it means replacement, and it was kind of interesting
to hear that, but he accepts that. That's his position in the family, and
There's so many stories, and they won't tell you. You find out through other people or their friends, and it's just like, wow.
actually, I was able to go to. I don't have any photo of that because we couldn't take photos at the art museum. It was when you go there, you have a guide who walks you through all the exhibition and everything. And she was telling me her story is that during the genocide, she was 2 years old and witnessed her parents being killed, and all her family kind of disappeared all of a sudden. And she ended up just being adopted by like a Rwandan family that kind of accepted her, and she had a good life at the end of the day, but that was her beginning. Yeah.
It's weird because Rwanda, there are countries investing in Rwanda right now, the main one being Germany. And so my friend, the head of the school, we'll call him by, is Jacques Murigande, but his artist name is Popo. So I'll call him Popo, you'll see him later. But he was asked by his government to start this school because he lived in Toronto, Ottawa most of his life as a refugee. So he was asked by the government, open the school. Now they got this money, incredible, like this is the studio we recorded in, it's as good as what we have here. So the equipment is awesome, but they still live in shacks and they still eat, like the students, all they eat is rice and beans all day, all year. They have meat once a year. And you see signs of malnutrition. So it's off. You know, you see like big technology in some places, and yet they're still living in poverty that way.
But also a technology that they're not trained to use. So
right.
It's kind of yeah.
That's what it looks like outside of the studio. March 4th. Okay, I think I'm going to take that one. Yeah. March 4th was the big day. That was the day where we'd have 3 streams, Vancouver stream, Calgary stream, Rwanda stream, all at the same time, 8 p.m. Africa time, 10 a.m. Canada time. And all week before March 4th, nothing worked. I thought I'd have easy time, work 3 hours a day, like Bill, you know, and then go back to the hotel, just hang out and stuff. No, it was 12, 14-hour days, and nothing worked. Nothing worked. And when I got that project, I thought, you know, I thank God for it because this is a dream come true, but it's just that it's okay if it doesn't work. I have to be prepared that if it doesn't work, that's all going to be okay. And God knows me. He knows I tend to be proud. And thank God for my wife that's got a humble heart, to tell you. And got to March 4th, and the choir was 3 hours late to come in. They were great, though. But anyway, and nothing worked. None of the streams worked. Because we didn't have internet in the hall. They had internet in the office. They have optical cable to the hall, but nothing's hooked up, right? So we had to do this entire project through one telephone hotspotting. That is scary. So nothing worked on much. And then I swear, and at some, I kind of like lost it there for a few minutes that day. Unfortunately, I thought I was doing so well, you know. But I know what God does. He knows me. He has to bring me down of a place of humility. Maybe finally, after 31 years of being a Christian, that was the first time I had the guts to thank him for a failure. It's true. That's hard. We're supposed to do that. We're supposed to thank God for everything. And first time, finally, I guess he probably said. And 5 minutes before showtime, which there was going to be none, Matt from Australia, he's doing a PhD in telemetry, okay? So he's still going, and then poof, everything went on. And we're like, no, that can't be. So I said, this might actually happen. So the stream is just starting, and then this nice student, she meant so good. She had like 3 water bottles. She comes towards me and Matt and walks, and then trip in the computer cord, everything goes off, bang, blackout. So, okay, well, there's people all around the world that's watching this stream, and I've got all this, but somehow I stayed peaceful. I don't know how, and then it all came back on. And it never glitched the whole time. So we did our 2 main pieces. We did the national anthem, and we did this piece that was played from Vancouver. The pipe organs played from Vancouver to Rwanda. Then I had Noel, the keyboard instructor, that actually played a part of that piece on the 2nd manual of each pipe organ in Canada. It's kind of complicated, but it's nuts, and it worked. It was like 2 people playing the same instrument at the same time in perfect sync across the world. That was so awesome. Anyway, so just to tell you that miracle, there's Noel. Oh, all the teachers are Christians. All the students are Christians. Now, this is what I want to talk to you about. This is what I wish I could bring you over there and give you a taste of that. Where's the last time we've heard or seen 170 young kids between the age of 18 and 25 living in harmony full-time, except for summer holidays? No drugs, no booze. They keep themselves for marriage. They praise God every day. We went to their service, and somebody took the mic and translated for us, and it was probably the only 2 white folk ever came to their service at church. It lasted 3 hours the first Sunday. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, and as musicians, it seems like they have a healthy competition between them. They're all like excellent singers and musicians, and but there is a competition, and it's evident sometimes, but it seems to be more like in challenging each other so they get better. And I guess, and that's the whole philosophy of the school, or the whole approach. Yeah.
So here you go. You see the screen that we had. That's Mike Dirk in St. John's, Shaughnessy, Vancouver. So that's the 4-manual pipe organ. We don't see the one to the left. When I have a video that's finished, I'll bring it, and I would love to show you. But then the Calgary and Vancouver on the screen, the kids knew what a pipe organ was. They've seen it, they've heard it, and now they could play it. That was part of the performance. There's Popo and myself. We became instant friends in 2016. I don't know how he does it. He's not a Christian. He's well-read. He speaks 5-6 languages. The guy's very, very smart, and he works. I don't think he sleeps. I don't know how he does it. And he's not young. They look young, but he's not young. And he does that for years. I didn't think he would last, but he's still there. Now, we celebrated at the end, so that's Matt on the left, Dominic in the middle, and me on the right. And we just joked around, and we're so happy that this whole thing worked. And I'm so happy with my friends. It was just awesome. They're not, Dominic and Matt are not Christians, but I tell you, something happened over there. That's Albert.
Albert, yeah. Actually, a few of the teachers over there and some of the fellows, including Albert, that we ended up seeing again, we had met them in 2016-17 when they were all students. Now they're graduates and they're working in their field. So Albert is one of them, and he kind of hang out with us a little bit during this visit. And yeah, his story again, like if you want to hear a story around not necessarily the genocide, but possibly related. Albert was born with HIV, and he lost both of his parents to AIDS, and he was adopted by his grandmother, who then died, and adopted by another family. But he's a Christian as well, and it's given his health condition, I guess it's hard for him to he wants to have a family someday and all of that, but he lives with the challenges, but his faith is really kind of helping him through that. And
it was great because it's a 2-hour scary bus ride from Kigali to Muhanga. It's only 60 clicks, but man, I tell you, you got to hang on. There are 2 lanes roads, but they think there are 3 somehow. Yeah, but then here's Albert. And Albert, when we met him in 2016, did something really cool for us. To thank us, he had a friend paint a beautiful painting of our wedding. He found out on the internet, and we still have it in our basement today. It's just fantastic. And he's got this awesome smile. He's 26 now.
He used to call us mom and dad.
Yeah. Anyway, he asked, he says, could you teach me how to swim? Africans can't swim. I didn't know that. But when you go to the national park, they see a lot of lakes, and then the guide's going to be, first thing he's going to tell you is like, all the lakes have crocodiles, no exceptions. So maybe that's why they don't swim. Anyway, he wanted to learn how to swim so bad. I said, okay, show up tomorrow at 10, and we'll go for it. Carmen is a fantastic swimmer. So she was giving direction from the side of the pool. I was in the pool with Albert. So Albert shows up an hour early at 9 in the next morning. So we get started, and we made progress. He can float, right? And but we could never get him to move forward. He actually moved backwards. Here, that's what it looked like.
You have to do it.
He tried for 2 hours. Okay. And he always come out with a big smile and huffing and puffing, and he'd go at it again. We couldn't get him to move. We tried just about everything. And Christmas is another friend that we met in 2016. She's a great Christian artist. One day we got to play some of her stuff here. She's beautiful heart. So many Christians. Hey, one thing, sometimes when we're in Kigali, you'd get up in the middle of the night. I thought maybe you have gone dead and gone to heaven or something like that. In the middle of the night, like 1 a.m., you'd pop your head out of your room and you'd hear incredible, probably like 200-piece choirs sing in the middle of the night gospel music. That they practice in the middle of the night. You hear them everywhere. That church, we found it was at least close to, at least half a kilometer from our hotel. I could hear them, and they were inside a building. So it's so amazing. Churches are packed there. They're just packed. On the Sunday, there might be 3-4 services. The church will hold maybe 800 people, and there'll be people outside listening. Different. Hey? And okay, I'll let you talk about this one. I'll come back to that.
Yeah, so just walking in the street of Muhanga, just how those kiosks, you can look at pottery or donuts or whatever. Anyways, I was attracted by this place where she had so many sweaters kind of in display, and so I got into the place, and she was sitting in the corner and knitting, and you could tell that's what she did day long. Anyways, I ended up buying turtleneck sweaters for the grandchildren and a little dress for Ivy. I just and she wears it a lot. I'm glad to hear. But this lady buying 5 items from her, I'm sure I made her day, and she. It was just to see how laborious the whole thing, but her inventory was, anyways. She was a busy lady.
Yes. Yeah. The day we tried to return to Kigali, the radiator was off on the car. We had this incredible sort of trek trying to get back trying to find a car that seat belts would work, you know. It was finally we ended up not finding a car with seat belts. We were all stacked in the little Yaris, and there was a detour at some point because of an accident. And check this out, 4 white folks end up walking beside the car, just following it because it was bottoming out on the road. And oh, I don't think I have it. Oh, lots of transportation, just bicycle there. It is a full-size pig in the back here. So they did have like 200, 300 pounds of water on a pedal bike. National Park, a must. It was my second time. It was just so awesome. Just like you could almost touch
Regarde ça marcher, c'est beau.
Incredible. Takes the whole day to go to the park. You see a whole bunch of kids all the time on the street with uniforms. That's what the street looks like. It's the main place where they meet. And then there's little dirt roads that goes everywhere. And then that's where their homes are. You said it's clean. You won't find one piece of garbage. Do you want to talk about that quickly, Carmen?
Yes. Yes, it's clean. Actually, when I was at the museum, I got to hear a little more how that happens. Every, the first or the last Friday of each month, even employees are giving their employees like an hour or 2 hours off to go and kind of pick up whatever might be on the street or wherever they are. And even the
president.
The president. Yeah, the president kind of joins in once in a while. He goes to different regions and participates in the cleanup. But literally, I mean, it's in that it's a physical thing that they do purposefully, and it's cleaner than Nelson Lake. Like everywhere in the country, in the city, wherever you go, it's clean.
President Kagame is a Christian. He's a little bit of a dictator, but he's a Christian, and he's been reelected 3 times now. People love him, and there's hardly a crime or corruption. Rwanda is looked at as being the role model of Africa.
Actually, if I can just say one more thing about the museum, it's actually housed where the president who planned the genocide lived back then with his wife and his family, his kids, and that's where actually we saw the room where the whole thing was actually planned. It was pretty dark. However, the exhibition in the museum shows a lot of hope. I mean, it seems like it's all around the genocide. Like you're thinking art museum could have different focuses, but this is really about the darkness of the genocide, but also the lightness of hope that they all have, it seems. And you see it in the art pieces. Just an example of a sculpture that I saw. It's a motorcycle made of metal with a driver who's a young person, and you can see it by the shoes that is worn, and then the passenger is an older person. So it's kind of giving the lead to the youth, and with hope as well. So, and a lot of the display was about hope too. So it was kind of refreshing to see like the dark side, but the light as well.
Quickly to again how they worship is amazing. I wish I could share that more, how that emotion that I had when I was there. And I have a couple of video clips, I don't know if they're there, but showing you, it's like, for example, the first service we showed up on the Sunday, it's incredible, was in the hall, but then middle of the week, Thursday, I hear gospel music. No, they're having a service right in the classroom. So I just sat there with them, and I said, don't bother translating. I'm just happy to sit here. I'll show you. So this is a picture of Kigali. You know, that was the only English song that there was. The rest was in Kenya, Rwanda. I didn't need translation. Their heart, they knew the scriptures, all of them. I kept asking, "Are you a pastor?" He'd start laughing. He said, "No." "Are you a pastor?" It took me forever to find who the pastor was. And they confess to each other. They get on their knees. They pray for each other. They pray for the world. I've never seen anything like that. It's so inspiring. That's why I talk about unity a little bit. And I'm looking at the clock. It showed after the March 4th event, you know, they start screaming all of a sudden. I was wondering what's going on and asked Popo. He said, "I just told them they will get meat this week." And just like, man, so I got that on video. I got to put that in my video. Thanks, Carmen. I want to, there's one more. I'd like us to, oh, wow. Okay, I can read this one here. I want to talk about unity. Unity is a topic that's been really on my heart for the last few years, I'd say. And what does it mean? And what does it mean for me as an individual? What does it mean for us as a group? What does it mean for Canadian? What does it mean for the world? And what's expected of us? And I put a few scriptures together, and I'd like to read a few for us together. So how about we read the first one together? Here we go. All believers were one in heart and mind. This happened in the early church because same thing with Rwanda. Rwanda's got poverty. Rwanda had the genocide. In the early church, there was persecution. And we find the unity in Christians mostly under those two things. And I said, does it have to be like that? You know, and I'm bringing that today. So let's read the second one here. For we were all baptized by one Spirit into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, slave or free, and we were all given the one to drink. Next one. Now it is God who makes us both and we stand firm in Christ. He anointed us, set his seal of ownership on us, and put his Spirit as a deposit, guaranteeing what is to come. We're his, so we don't have to worry about any of this stuff. Here we go. I want men everywhere to lift up holy arms in prayer without anger or dispute. Next one. The entire law is summed up as a single command. Love your neighbor as yourself. If you keep on biting and devouring each other, watch out or you will be destroyed by each other. I want to talk about that one a little bit. You know, we've seen more and more division, and not even start with families. We're seeing that everywhere on the planet right now. Our faith should really be the binding thing that unites us. And I have to say here that when I read this, especially on the biting part, I'm not worrying so much for us because most of us don't have teeth anymore, so we're okay. No, I'll have to. I couldn't help it. Okay. But, it's what I think we have to watch for is, a place in the Bible says you can't love both God and money. Well, I think we can replace money with a lot of things. You can't love both God and internet. You can't love both God and addictions, especially secret addictions. That stops us from being connected with God. This is the only truth we know. We got to be very careful how we balance our lives, each one of us. The world is not going to get closer to us. It's going to get further apart. We don't know what's coming. But I do believe we live in the last days, and it'd be nice to see revival. It'd be beautiful to see Christian uniting in a way that we haven't seen. Let's read this one. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. There is one body, one Spirit, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through and in all. I got to give you this picture here. So Jesus comes back tonight, okay? Great, we're seeing the Creator, and we're all standing beside each other, and we're just in awe. We feel like a 2-year-old. It's just like, do you think when Jesus comes back and says, okay, covenant people, I'm going to put you here on this side because I know you don't totally agree with these guys here, so I put them on that side. You think there's going to be any of that? I don't think so. There are believers in every church, and we don't have to agree with every church. We don't, and it's not like I'd be sitting there looking at Jesus and looking at the guy next to me and says, aren't you from the Baptist church? You should be over there, right? No, here's how he tells us how to do it. We have to submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. That's the reason we come to church. That's the reason why we should show up to any Christian event that we think we're called to show up. It's for Jesus. It's out of reverence. Doesn't mean that we have to agree with everyone. Being saved, that's God's decision. That's his judgment, right? And with Walter, we've been studying, the 7 letters of the churches, to the churches in Revelation. There's some really bad reports in there, and there's only a couple of good ones. But it does say that there are overcomers everywhere. And for us, what does Jesus ask us to do? To me, this is the center. I'll be done after this, okay? But I'm going to read it for you here. My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one. Father, just as you are in me, as I am with you, may they be brought to complete unity to let the world know that you sent me and have loved them, even as you have loved me. Father, I want those you have given me to be with me where I am and to see my glory, the glory you have given me because you loved me before the creation of the world. This text just got my heart about 2 years ago, and I just can't stop thinking about it. Why? It's, of course, whatever Jesus said in the Bible is incredible. But the question is, when did he say that? These are his last words before he went to the cross. Wow, to me that means that's really important to him. I mean, think about the last words of a father or a grandfather on his deathbed saying to their kids, I want you to get along. That's basically what he's asking. I've asked my teacher Walter on Tuesday, am I wrong to think, because I'm not a pastor, I'm not a scholar, am I wrong to think that this is a command? This is not a suggestion. Wow. It's just, and to me it seems like, as far as being full of vitamins as Christians, maybe we're low on this vitamin unity. And I think unity is contagious. It's contagious in Rwanda. You go there, you see that unity, you just can't help, you want to be with them. I need something like that here. We have that here together, but there is more. And where is more? What is more? And again, the Lord will come at the end and show his power, his glory. I think we've got two things going for us. We've got submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. That's number one. And we've got the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. That's what we've got. And that's how we can be helped to be, the one there at the bottom, how good and pleasant it is when brothers live in unity. For there the Lord bestows his blessing, even life forevermore. I looked up the dictionary, what bestows mean. It's giving with honor. Well, that sounds almost like God's going to bless whatever effort we put to unite. That's what it sounds like to me. And I think this is what I'm going to propose, and I'm done here. But Jason, by the way, we got a great pastor. We've got a great church. What if we take that as a homework, is to this week take some time and each one of us to pray for the spirit of unity and let the Holy Ghost guide us into that. Because that's what it takes first before action. We got to have the heart for it. We got to want it. I want it because I want to please Jesus. Jesus, that's what he asked before he went to the cross. I want to see him happy about us trying anyway. I know it's not easy, but if we all pray this week for the spirit of unity, let's see what happens. We got great things happening. I know I forgot the list. We got Garden, Beyond the Bell, the camp. We got Christian school now. We got small groups. We're really strong in small groups, and we got more. I'm forgetting how much more. Now the interchurch start to happen. I'm so happy that Pastor Jason was hosting the interchurch. We in Balfour have a great representation of the interchurch service. That gives me great joy because I know it gives Christ great joy. The Gospel Festival, same thing. There's two suggestions, two ideas I've got. I'm just telling you today, and I'm going to shut my mouth. And then if any of you think it's worth pursuing, then let's talk, and then we can submit the idea to the SLT and go from there. First idea is to start the idea back east in Quebec. The churches are doing that. When you enter the church, on the screen, there's the announcement of what other churches are doing. Some may hold a barbecue, some may do that, and then we're aware all of a sudden what other churches are doing. I don't know how to put that together, but that would be cool. And that'd be cool if other churches would start doing that. It's not very complicated, but we're not doing it. Second idea is just for us here, and it's a little bit of a wild one, but I did talk to Pastor Jason about it, and he liked it. Okay, so I had that idea for a few years already. What if one time, some of us, most of us, all of us would start something that would call Visit Forward. Remember the movie Pay It Forward, the little boy that did that's awesome. Well, Visit Forward. So we're a group of us, phone ahead of time, and one Sunday we go to their church just to unite. It doesn't matter what you know. And the deal is then they have to do the same thing. They go and visit a church. What's it's once a year, what's twice a year. But we could start with one time, and if we don't like it, I just thought our church is perfect to start something like that. And then see what God does. What do you think? Anyway, let's talk about it, and then let's propose it to the SLT if there's enough of us would like to do it. It could be anytime, anything. Thank you so much for your time here today.